Hey, it's Morella Manelli, and today I'm going to show you how to take dark brown hair and transition it into a ruby bronze finish, all while keeping some subtle dimension using all Kenra color, so stay tuned and check it out. I'm starting my service by assessing my client's curl pattern as well as her starting level. She is a natural level 3, and the best way to do this is to take your level finder, fan out the level that you think your client is, and then push it right back into the very back of the head and find the color that best matches. So she's a natural level 3, virgin hair, and I just really want to see where her curls naturally fall to create my sections that I'm going to work with. So I'm going to take that zigzag parting where her curls naturally part all the way back behind the ear and then clip that back section away. So that entire front sections that I'm going to create in the front will be where her highlights will live. For this project, I'm going to be using 2 different color formulas, and since she has virgin hair color, I've decided to go in with permanent color throughout this entire project. So I'm using 40 grams of 5C to 10 grams of 7 violet metallic, equal parts to 30 volume developer. Now the reason for the 30 volume developer is to give me a nice solid 2 to 3 levels of lift for her virgin level 3 hair. For her secondary formula, I'm using 6RC equal parts to 40 volume developer, so that way I can get a solid 3 levels of lift just for that subtle dimension that we're going to add in those foil or highlight placements. Now to get started on this front sections, I'm going to be taking a really shallow zigzag parting just to separate that front hairline. And what this is doing is just mirroring the other zigzag parting that we did to create the initial section. This entire front piece right here will be all of her foundation color, which is the 5C and 7VM. And I'm just going to paint her hairline first and then place a foil right underneath it and then just paint it on. The reason why I decided to go this route was just to keep the section nice and clean, since I will be applying color in between her foils, and I really wanted the hairline to be the deeper formula. So putting it in a foil is just going to keep it nice and clean around her face, which is essentially going to be more comfortable for your client. Once I have that hairline complete, now I'm going to go in with those highlights. So I'm just pulling the hair completely away from her face and then bringing out a weave, but it's again a little zigzagged, similar to the zigzag parting that we created initially. So each of these sections are going to be slightly zigzagged on both sides. So essentially it's going to look a little bit like a slice, but a zigzag slice on each side. I'm taking my foundation color and I'm applying that on the first inch or 2 of the base, and then now bringing that 6RC formula from the mids and ends and just blending those 2 colors together. Now you'll see I split this into 2 different sections, and the reason for this is just for maximum control. If you can get this entire section into 1 foil, kudos to you, but I just decided to split it into 2 sections so it was a little easier for my application. Now for the next section, I'm just going to follow the same zigzag pattern that I initially created following the hairline. So what we're doing here is creating slightly vertical placements with these subtle highlights that we're going to be putting in. So you can see here again, each side is slightly zigzagged on both sides, and then I'm just taking another weave here. So I do want to create a tiny 1/4 inch subsection in between these highlights. So again, I'm taking that foundation color, applying it just on the first inch or 2, and then blending it right into the 6RC formula to create that dimension. So what will live in between these foils is the foundation color, which is the 5C and 7VM. So I'm going to continue on with this pattern until this entire section is complete. But you can almost see it's created a little bit of a halo type of section, but everything is zigzagged. So we're just really looking to add that subtle dimension around the face. These highlights that I'm creating are not designed to be super visible, but rather just to create slight highs and lows on the interior around the face. I'm going to do the same exact pattern on the other side, and this will complete 3 subtle highlights on the interior for each side with a total of 4 foils in each of the sections. Once I get all of those foils in, I'm then going to take my foundation color and go ahead and apply from roots to ends in between each of the foils. Now, you don't have to worry about disrupting any of these foils because we applied that foundation color at the base of each of these foils. Therefore, you don't need to worry about any bleeding, which makes this technique really, really easy to use. A little added tip when doing highlights and color in between foils is by the time you are done with these sections is to mix up a brand new batch of permanent hair color so that way you have a nice, strong working color formula to work with for the remaining hair. Just remember that the first 15 minutes is lifting and the last 15 minutes is depositing. So that's why I always like to mix up 2 separate batches to make sure that I get the maximum amount of lift, especially when we're working on lifting 2 levels or more. So for this entire back section, I'm going to be applying from roots to ends the 5C and 7VM formula. Now, what I typically like to do is just get it onto the roots first and then go through and quickly apply it through the mids and ends. This just helps me make sure that I get a nice even lift and saturated finish throughout. Now, if you're probably wondering why the heck did I use 7VM and 5C? So 5C is 5 copper and 7VM is level 7 violet metallic. So that's just the lowest level that I could get in a metallic finish for this color line. And the violet metallic is just going to add in a little bit of a violet silver base, creating that bronzy finish that I'm looking for in my copper shade. So the primary color here is the 5C, but that violet metallic is really what's making it bronze. And that's ultimately the goal here, is just to add a little bit of creativity to my formula. And one final tip here is when you are applying color, I do like to start from the bottom and then work my way up, so it just keeps it nice and clean, because there's nothing better than having a nice clean working space, and it's something your client will appreciate. Now, once I'm completely done applying my color throughout the entire head, I'm going to start my timer for just 30 minutes since we're not worried about covering any gray. My go-to shampoo and conditioner for this color project is going to be Kenra Professional Prime Shampoo and Conditioner, and I'm actually going to be finger combing out her curls at the shampoo bowl. This is something that I didn't film, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I did leave the conditioner on for at least 5 to 7 minutes while I was detangling her hair at the bowl. For her style, I'm using curl defining cream, and I'm just going to be using a couple pumps of this throughout her hair and raking it through the mids and ends, and then whatever's left onto my hands, I'll pull through the root area. And the reason why I love this product so much is it's like a leave-in conditioner with just a slight hold to it, which makes it great for curly hair. Next, I'm going to be using Formation Mousse from the Signature Style collection. So I'm just going to use a generous amount and layer this right onto the surface of her hair, and then just further scrunch it just for a little bit of added hold before we go in with a diffuser. Make sure your blow dryer is set to high heat and low blow, and use a good diffuser. And usually I have my clients rest their head back onto the chair so that way their hair dangles. I find this is the easiest way and fastest way to dry the underside of the hair, which typically takes a long time. Another added tip is to dry the hair slowly. Avoid bouncing the dryer around too much, as this can cause unnecessary frizz. And here's the final result on how to take dark brown hair and transition it into a ruby bronze finish, all while keeping some subtle dimension using all Kenra color.
So just to recap, we went in with her highlights using 6RC in permanent color at a 1:1 mixing ratio with 40 volume developer. And then for her all over color from roots to ends, we went in with 5C with a little bit of 7VM, mixed that up equal parts with 30 volume developer, and then processed her for 30 minutes. And then for her final style, we went in with Kenra Professional Curl Defining Cream and Formation Mousse from the Signature Style Collection, and then just diffused her for about 20 minutes. So I really hoped you enjoyed this hair tutorial, and if you did, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to check out my other color tutorials on this channel, and hope to see you guys next time.